As I read Delivering for America, I learned that trucks were less risky than commercial aviation for moving mail. So I kept turning the pages looking for the place where they were going to tell me that the moon was made of cheese. Yeah, that's my impression of the information supporting much of the argument to put mail on trucks instead of airplanes that you'll read when you look at Delivering for America. So I put together a counter document called Questioning Delivering for America. In that, here's what I said. In the strategic evaluation of Delivering for America, we must address the white elephant in the room. The press release from XPO Logistics said that after they purchased Postmaster General Louis DeJoy's company, New Breed Logistics, he invested $30 million back into XPO. He became an officer of the company. He was employed for a year, and he served on the board of directors for a few more. Now, XPO is a significant contractor for the United States Postal Service. Some might think this crystallizes the motivations of many of the elements found in Delivering for America. But then I read Allison Durkee of Forbes, who wrote on October 16, 2020, that the Postmaster General would be divesting his holdings in XPO. He requested the certificate of divestiture from OGE on August 14th based on advice from the Postal Service's Ethics Office and had until December 19th to complete the action. The article reported that the Postmaster General, quote, has said that his investments were cleared by USPS ethics officials and had recused himself from matters related to XPO. The investments have come under fire from ethics experts and Democratic critics, and the United States Postal Service has confirmed that DeJoy's financial holdings are under review by the USPS Inspector General, end quote. Now, XPO has been paid $286 million by the United States Postal Service since 2013, according to documents obtained by New York Times last September. That's September 2020. The Forbes article stated that amount includes $14 million that had been paid so far since DeJoy took office in June, which marked a significant increase over the $3.4 million paid over the same period in 2019. XPO has attributed the increase to an expanded contract that was changed in December before DeJoy started at USPS, and an XPO spokesman previously told Forbes that $10.4 million of the $14 million were payments for work that was performed before DeJoy took office. Well, that's okay then. There's really no story here. Yet, there's still a mountain of curiosity for an intriguing mind to climb as facts are pieced together to justify major changes in America's Postal Service. From a skeptical eye, the pattern of how information has been woven to move more mail to over-the-road trucks produces a fabric that seems too easy to see through. When it is not clear how slowing the mail materially benefits the United States Postal Service, its citizen owners, the customers of its services, the American commerce system, and entrepreneurs of all descriptions, one must ask the motivation. When trucks, in fact, are riskier than air carriers, truck performance measures are imprecise, and mail performance will diminish but appear to improve on paper, how does this meet any goal of the postal system's charter? When the improvements are measured against a new standard that has been rigged to demonstrate positive results, who is the winner? Think of it like this. Your mail is now 2 days later, but it's on time. You used to get paid on Friday, now you're going to get paid on Tuesday. To look at the weave of the pattern, it evokes a response that's found in a Hans Christian Andersen tale. Delivering for America has got nothing on. Under the heading, Underperforming Air and Surface Transportation Networks, Delivering for America states, quote, air transportation comes with a high price and significant risk, as we are reliant on external carriers. It adds, quote, the complexity and constraints of the air network are contributing factors to the poor performance of first-class mail, end quote. Then they present figure 6 in the plan that Delivering for America, which ostensibly supports the argument that air carriers are an unreliable method of transportation. They say this graph demonstrates performance in terms of numbers of flights and their on-time performance from October 2019 to February 21st, 2021. A footnote that supports the conclusion to dismiss air carriers from mail delivery states, quote, for example, total flight operations decreased from 7.4 million in 2019 to 4.7 million in 2020. In the same period, flight cancellation percentages increased from 1.8% to 6%, end quote. Now, This is not proof that air carriers are an unreliable method for transporting mail. The aviation industry was hit hard by the impact of COVID-19, so the schedules adjusted and flights were suspended or canceled because of empty seats. From the footnoted data, Postal Service management sees the proof they need to eliminate contracted air carriers in the transportation of mail, which may affect, quote, 43% of priority mail, 42% of first-class packages, and more than 21% of first-class mail, end quote, that currently travel via America's commercial aviation businesses. A major decline in the prompt service America expects is justified within Delivering for America by the anomaly of the pandemic year. That's wrong thinking. More concerning, enter the white elephant, is that the improvement for mail performance presented in Delivering for America will come by slowing the mail presently using an aviation solution, using trucks instead, and measuring against a reduced standard of excellence. All this to make a 2.6% improvement in reported on-time delivery. The report says, the long-range plan says one motivation to stop using air carriers is the Postal Service's lack of control when mail is in their hands. Yet, buried within the language of Delivering for America is a discussion of contracting the movement of mail via the trucking logistics industry through a non-bid system. They call it merit-based, but merit-based means non-bid. So this begs for a little better explanation. In what seems to be a weave of data through the loom of the emperor's clothing, the 10-year plan argues that trucks and slower mail must be used to improve performance. Yet when determining reliability between the different modes of mail transportation, shouldn't we be sure we know what is being measured? Performance measures are inconsistent between various methods of transport. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics measures an air carrier's schedule performance deviations in minutes. Quote, a flight is counted as on time if it operated less than 15 minutes later than the scheduled time shown in the carrier's computerized reservation systems. More appropriate to justifying permanent service changes would be a thorough understanding of the historic reliability of the aviation industry. Now, here's a graph that I put together that shows the domestic on-time air carrier departures in the United States between 2011 and 2020, as reported by the Bureau of Transportation Statistics. It demonstrates constant, steady reliability until the impact of COVID-19 in 2020. Trucking logistics is less precise in its measures. McKinsey & Company, a global firm dedicated to resolving the critical issues facing their broad client base, published an article regarding the imprecise measures of trucking logistics. Quote, in its effort to optimize its supply chains, the consumer industry has evolved in the way it measures delivery performance. And then it goes on to say, in practice, however, there is no standard definition for on time in full, so different supply chain participants may interpret the metric in significantly different ways. Does on time mean on the date requested by the retailer or the date promised by the manufacturer, end quote. The broad interpretation of on time in trucking logistics is caused because no firm standard exists, and data reported can be dependent upon when the purchaser expected or the shipper promised delivery. Regardless, the determination is always based on the date, not the minutes beyond a specific minute on the date, as in air carrier performance. As such, when measuring the precision of logistics between on-time air carriers and on-time trucks, we are comparing distinctly different measures where one is 96 times more precise than the other and dramatically separate in the reporting structures that oversee them. This discussion is included in my argument to make the point regarding comparisons when no real comparison can or should be made. Now, Delivering for America states that in 2019, ground transportation provided 92% on-time performance, while air transportation met 89.4% on-time performance for first-class mail. It is important to define the on-time standard for mail delivery. The primary method for measuring on-time mail is the end-of-day manual reporting system dependent upon the human motivations and a top-down reporting structure. In 2017, the Office of the Inspector General observed reporting from 8 distribution centers to discover false information being reported. Alas, Delivering for America shows performance declines in years 2018 and 2019, which could simply be the result of higher integrity in reporting. All of this suggests that a margin of error should be considered before great changes are made that alter the standards for promptness, especially when the improvement gained by delivering mail days later than the 2019 standard is only 2.6%. However, there are even stronger arguments to continue contracting air carriers. First, a dramatic shift to slower mail will make 100% of the currently on-time mail transported by air carriers later than its current performance. Any measured improvement in published on-time performance will be against the new, slower, worse standard. So you need to call your representative in Washington and let them know that this isn't okay with you. The Postal Service's on-time delivery rate for the actual mail transported via commercial air carriers actually outperforms the on-time performance rate of air carriers, because a delay of 16 minutes or more in the takeoff or arrival of an aircraft, which is the measure of late aircraft, is rarely dramatic enough to keep mail from arriving on the date intended, which is the measure for on-time mail. According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, between 2012 and 2021, flights arrived on time between 69.13% in 2014 and 85.03% in 2021. The Postal Service rate is at 89.4%, and it demonstrates exceptional performance above the air carriers range. So call your representatives in Congress and let them know this, so that they don't change your life forever. When transported by ground, the distance traveled influences the on-time performance. There is no assurance within Delivering for America that mail by ground transport on-time percentages will remain constant or even improve on-time delivery percentages against air performance, even when the new standard is days later than the pre-Delivering for America measures. Mechanical failures, highway congestion, weather, and other factors will require specific plans to mitigate that are not mentioned as factors to be considered when moving mail longer distances by truck. Call your representatives in Washington and make sure that they're considering this. Delivering for America discusses risk throughout, yet it does not mention that a growing problem for truck transportation is the increase in motor vehicle accidents involving heavy trucks in America. Since 2009, these accidents have increased 52%, resulting in 74% of all fatal passenger vehicle cases, with 68% being accidents with passenger vehicles. It's estimated by 2030 that large truck accidents will become the 5th largest cause of death in the United States. This will make moving mail by ground more vulnerable than air carrier risk. Risk being the justification for moving mail away from air carriers, there needs to be a plan for the Postal Service to mitigate the accidents and public relations fallout from the resulting deaths. Air carrier accidents are rare. Call your representatives in Congress to be sure they don't ignore this fact. From the strategic view, a 2.6% projected improvement would be a dubious expectation against a more complete evaluation of information, which hopefully I've provided here. So we're told in this document that air carriers are risky and that trucks are more sound, but I have an idea that hasn't been considered that probably would allow us to replace the air carriers and still keep the swiftness of first-class mail that our consumers are accustomed to. Santa's not busy, and the only day that we don't actually move the mail is Christmas Day. Trucks are less risky than commercial aviation, and the moon is made of cheese. As postal workers, it's been very frustrating for us to watch this erode. We've been trained through the mantra of convenient, easy, and unrelenting. And now it's slower, less dependable. People are going to stop doing business with the Postal Service. My name's Thomas Allen Malm, and I'm running for the presidency of the American Postal Workers Union, and I'm running so that we can have this conversation.